Mortal Kombat 2021 has some flaws, and I'm going to point them out now. Hey Twisted people, it's your Twisted Woman here, Chauncey K. Robinson, and today I am talking about Mortal Kombat 2021. Now, I gave an overview review of this film because, of course, I would. I watched it. I'm going to give a review, but I wanted to get a little bit more specific of the issues I had with the movie. My top 5 issues that I had with the movies, or more so, the top 5 things wrong with Mortal Kombat 2021. Now, I want to put it out there that I did not absolutely hate this movie. I didn't absolutely love it, of course, as you will probably see from this video, but I didn't hate it. But there were definitely some things that I felt like had they done it better, this could have been a way better movie. And that's what I want to get into today with my top 5 things wrong with Mortal Kombat 2021. And as always, whether you like it or loved this film, I am so grateful to all of you for going on this journey with me of digging into art and entertainment and movies and TV shows and stories. And if you like what you see here, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe so that you are the first to know when I post my videos. So we're going to start at number 5 and then work our way up to the number 1 mistake that I think the movie made. Number 5, not playing up the campiness enough. Now, maybe this is just my bias of the awesome 90s Mortal Kombat movie, which honestly still to me stands supreme as the best live action one I've seen thus far. One of the things I loved about the 90s one was that, yes, there were serious moments. Yes, this was a fight movie, but it did also recognize that some of this stuff was so fantastical that it could be seen as ridiculous. And it played into that enough to let you know, okay, this is serious, but we get it. And I feel like the movie, the Mortal Kombat 2021, really just did itself a disservice by not playing into that enough. There were a few moments here and there, like when Cole Young is looking at the things on the wall and he's saying, well, they spelled Mortal Kombat wrong, aka they put a K instead of a C because it's his first time seeing it. And I thought that was funny. And there were a few things here and there, but I didn't think it was done enough to the point where certain things just didn't land. There was so much, all of a sudden, it was so high stakes. It was so serious. Where's my family? You killed my cousin. And it was like, okay. And then when they didn't take themselves seriously, or when they played into the comedy a bit more, they rested it all on one particular character. Number 4, killing Kung Lao. I just thought that was dumb, particularly for this film. Now, I know that, you know, storyline wise and things like that, maybe it happened in one of the games or it didn't. Maybe it just, they wanted to do it for this film. But I felt like in doing it here when he was honestly probably one of the more fleshed out characters in this film in particular. I'm talking about this film in particular. He was probably one of the more fleshed out characters, one of the better fighters as well. And then he had that flawless victory moment. And I was like, yeah, Kung Lao. And then they killed him. They just killed him. And it was just like, what? You spend time with some of these characters, and honestly, there are some disposable characters in this movie, unfortunately. And some characters I wanted a lot more of and I didn't get enough of. And characters, and when I did get something, I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus on how cool this character is. Even though this other character is getting a lot of screen time and a lot of lines, this character seems very interesting too. And Kung Lao was one of those characters, and I just think they did him dirty. But it was kind of like, you almost feel like, well, they had to kill somebody. Somebody had to die to up the stakes of, I guess, reaching the climax of this film, because it was like, what is the climax of this film? And you just sacrificed them for a plot point. Number 3, the character of Cole Young. Okay, so I just want to say this is no shade towards the actor. I think Louis Tan is actually really cool. I thought he did what he could with what he was given, and he was not given much. And that's kind of weird to say given the fact that he was the main character, right? And yet I still never felt like I truly got to know who this character was. And I think that's a failing on the movie because, well, you literally created this character for this movie. And there was just a lot of things wrong with the personality. I felt like he was kind of a blank slate. He suddenly becomes sort of the leader and telling everyone, let's bring the fight to them and everything. But I'm like, where is this even coming from? You never really get to know why he suddenly isn't considered a really strong MMA fighter anymore. They never really go into that. You just know that he's showing up for $200 fights to get his butt kicked and he taps out early. And you never really know what made him like stop being as good as he was necessarily and why he didn't make it big. None of that is really gone into. His powers were also kind of whack. Y'all, when he finally got his powers, I was figuring out, I was like, okay. I didn't understand it. And, you know, I probably didn't get it because I don't know this character enough to understand why that would be his power. Number 2, too much Kano. All right, before y'all get the pitchforks out, because I know just that there are going to be plenty of people who are like, what? He was like the best part of this movie. This movie would have been whack without Kano. Oh my gosh, how can you say that? Kano, Kano, Kano. Listen. That's the problem. Kano, honestly, was a glorified plot point for Sonya to get her tattoo in this movie, right? We knew that eventually she was going to have to kill this guy. We knew because they already kind of did a heavy-handed foreshadowing that he was not going to totally turn around on his life and his ways of deception. We kind of got that, right? And so we saw this coming in a way, yet they drew it out so much. And yes, he had some great lines. He was super funny. He was probably the funniest part of this film. Yes, that's right. He was. The problem was he didn't have to be. He didn't have to be the funniest part of this film. They honestly could have given other characters things to say that they gave all to Kano to say. I would have preferred it had they made it so Cole Young was kind of the comedian guy with the quips and things like that. I would have preferred that, kind of like how Johnny Cage was in the 90s one, because they didn't give us Johnny Cage in this one. But you know what I mean? I would have preferred had Cole Young been the one who was doing quips. But what they ended up doing was that Kano was the only one who seemed to know a joke. And then everyone else was just responding to him. And he sucked up so much air. They had Kano suck up so much air to then just eventually betray them. And it was like, all that? And then Sonya just kills him and that's it? Really? That's it? Like, they were having him talk like he was going to stay like eventually the main character and be won over, and that just didn't happen. And so you realize he's just a glorified plot point for Sonya Blade. And you're like, he had all that time to talk and this is the end? So yes, Kano was good, but the bar was set very low because all of the other characters were kind of dull. And the number one thing wrong with Mortal Kombat 2021 was that there wasn't an actual Mortal Kombat tournament. This movie should have been called Journey to Mortal Kombat. Seriously, it was an appetizer. It was a prequel. It was not. It never really ended up happening. I mean, it sort of happened because Cole was like, let's bring the fight to them. Let's have a tournament since they don't want to have a tournament. But that's not how this works. That's not how that works. That really just isn't how it works. Cole Young, the new original character, can't just call Mortal Kombat. That's not how this thing works. So technically speaking, there was no actual official tournament. To me, that's a problem. I thought I was getting in a tournament because this is the thing. When you have a tournament that's big and a lot of things are going on, you get to see other fights, not just the main character fights, which is what we ended up getting. All the main characters fought. And so you had the big fights all happen. But if it's a fighting movie, you want other fights that you see that kind of happen in cool montages. We never really got a cool montage of fights because there was no tournament that have cool montages of. You know, honestly, my number one thing was going to be, I never heard anyone yell, Mortal Kombat. But, you know, that's fine. You know, I get it. It's the 2020s and all this other stuff. So stuff needs to look kind of slick, sure. But yeah, that was the main issue here, that there was no tournament. And I guess that's happening in the sequel. But I shouldn't have to wait for the sequel of a movie to get the real movie. Do you agree with my top 5 things wrong with Mortal Kombat 2021? Let me know. Comment down below. Give me your list. What's your top 5? What's your number 1? Or do you think this movie was perfect? Let me know. Comment down below. And also be sure to subscribe so that you are the first to know when I post my videos. Thanks for watching.